Hello, I'm Mark Rickenbach, GP at Parkinson Francis Surgery, and this is information about your COVID vaccine, which is taken from the Pfizer COVID vaccine advice sheets nationally. And the first thing to do is say welcome, and that we would really value having your date of birth and NHS number when you come along. The COVID vaccine is given in two stages, and two separate vaccines 3 weeks apart, minimum of 21 days. The first vaccine is said to give about 75% protection, and the second dose gives about 95% protection after about a week after that dose. That does mean there's a 5% chance still that you might get COVID, so you are advised to carry on with face masks and social distancing. Also, you could potentially pass it on to others without having it yourself by just touching and passing it on. So we do advise masks and social distancing still. The location of it, usually we put it in your non-dominant arm. So I ask you which side you would use to write with, and we put it in the other arm. The exception is if you've had breast surgery, in which case we would avoid the side with the breast surgery in it. The reaction you'll get is a local redness and swelling. That can be quite obvious and tender, and that should gradually settle down. Other side effects are said to be mild and mostly related to flu-like symptoms. Something like 2 or 3 out of every 100 people might get tiredness or might get headache, and other symptoms of flu tend to be milder. The only significant thing that we have to ask you about is if you are allergic to vaccines or foods or medicines, and whether you have had a severe reaction with a generalized rash or breathing difficulties, so-called anaphylaxis, in which case we would advise you to avoid the Pfizer vaccine or at least get more detailed counselling about it. There are other list of questions that we will ask you when we come in. Have you been sick today? Well, that is, yes or no. Have you received any vaccinations in the past 2 weeks, including the flu vaccine? And have you been diagnosed with COVID-19 in the last 90 days? We will ask you about the allergy again and anaphylactic reactions. And we will ask you about bleeding disorders or whether you are on warfarin, in which case you need to have an INR check done just before the vaccine. And we will ask if you could be pregnant or if you're breastfeeding, because for those reasons you're advised to avoid the vaccine or at least be carefully counselled about the pros and cons. The follow-up for your vaccine will be in 3 weeks' time. The appointment will normally be at the same time and at the same day of the week as today, or when you have your vaccine, that is. But we may be able to move it slightly later, if possible. We apologise that we're only allowed to give it to a certain group of people, and that the Pfizer vaccine is a frozen vaccine, so it's hard to transport out of the surgery. All this advice is current as of the 23rd of December 2020, but it will be updated with the new vaccines that are coming out and with the changing rules. So I hope it goes well for you and look forward to seeing you at the surgery for your vaccination. Thank you.